Hi everyone, hope everyone's doing well and welcome to this week's video of the week 2 of the program of the 4-day a week plus the 3 days a week that I program for myself. I'm recording this on Sunday, so I haven't gone into the gym to do my work. My shoulder is still a little achy, so the things I have planned today may adjust a little bit. I will for sure do the front squat single that I have planned, but I may or may not do the push presses. I'll just have to see how my shoulder warms up for that. It doesn't hurt, but it just isn't getting better. So I obviously want to be cautious about that. But as you look at the clips of the structured program that I have for the first 4 days, you'll notice that a lot of power snatches, a lot of repetitions, a lot of 240 cleans and clean jerks, some block pulls, all that kind of stuff. I don't believe I had any misses on any of the weightlifting movements, which is I'm really happy about. I did have a miss on a front squat. At my top set, it was 300 pounds, and my legs were fried at that point, and I took a little too much time in between some of my warm-up sets because I was talking, so a little bit that is totally my fault. Well, the quads were just tired on that day, so maybe if I hadn't been stupid and talked too long in between some of my sets, maybe I would have got 2 instead of 1 or something like that. But that was the only reps I remember missing, and that's a strength movement, so it wasn't technically that I did it bad. I just didn't have the strength to do it, which is obviously a deficit that I'm working on. Some of the other, I guess not really mistakes, but another notable thing that I wanted to do better in this week was a better jump after the front squat plus jerk. You'll notice on day 5 I started with that, which is a really good movement for me because it's very difficult for me to do a jerk after my quads are already fatigued. But I was able to do 305, which is just 10 pounds off what you guys saw is my best of 315, or I think 143 kilograms. So I got close to that, but I made it kind of a big jump to 335 when honestly I should have either went to the weight I did last week of 315 or should have just went to 320. And days like this are going to be beneficial for me to bring in my change plates so I can kind of chip away at different PRs like that. It's not as big of a deal if I repeat 315 both weeks, because as fatigue builds up, if you're maintaining that level of performance, you're really increasing in your performance, if that makes sense. If you do the same performance in a fatigue state, you've gotten stronger. But 305 I was still happy with. I would have liked to have my feet a bit more split, the distance between my front and back foot a little increased on that, but the general form of the lift looked fine, and the speed of the front squat, even the speed of the 335 on that day, on that single, looked good. I just have to continue to improve on the technique of that. Then went on to do clean pulls and cleans that day, and I was really happy about that. So I'm mainly focusing on the extra couple days because that's where I do the heavier stuff. The stuff during the week, it's just a lot of repetitions, and it's not anything that's too exciting. It's definitely good for me to practice, and I enjoy the practice of it because I feel like I'm getting more snappy during the week, and then I can kind of not necessarily test myself, but push myself a little bit more on the extra days with the various lifts. But with the clean pull plus clean, I was able to do 315 or 143 kilograms. So obviously, I want to be able to push that number up a little bit, but I was definitely really happy with that. I had to get pretty hyped up for that. I think Fridays would be a good day for me to not necessarily max out on random things, but kind of in the sense to do that, but I'm more on variation. So like the front squat plus jerk, or the clean pull plus clean, not like just a straight snatch and clean and jerk max, but some sort of complex that is difficult for me to do. And the clean pull plus clean was recommended to me by both those complexes, actually recommended to me by Justin as things that it would be good for me to do on that extra day. So I did them. You also see I did some deadlifting after 440 or 200 kilograms for 11 repetitions, because once I just couldn't count once I was there, so I did an extra one. I meant to only do 10 because my friend Wasim was doing sets of 10. He did like 6 sets of 10 because he's on the Juggernaut AI programming, which is pretty cool. I think it's good for him to do. But I just wanted to do a set of 10 because I haven't done one in a while. I don't know what my best set of 10 deadlifts are. I know a while ago, I think it was like 425, I did touch and go with the deadlift bar 16 times. But obviously I don't really care too much what my best repetitions are. The fact that I was able to do 11 repetitions with that weight and shoes and no belt, I'm very happy with. So, deadlifts obviously move in the right direction with there. When I went into the gym yesterday for the second extra day, I was originally planning on doing a bunch of back squat volume, very light, like 225 or 102 kg for like 5 sets of 10 or something. But my legs are just, they weren't achy. Like I could have done it if I really pushed it, but I just would have taken a lot of effort and I didn't really feel like doing that many squats. So I did some leg press instead. So I started out with that snatch complex that you'll see, which I believe is a PR for even like a snatch pull plus snatch. I think that might have been the best, not even counting the overhead squat that I've done. And the fact that I felt pretty fatigued to be able to do that snatch and to do it that well, I was very happy with. And to do that complex, obviously, that's my best for that. And I think that'll be a good one for me. Not really with the overhead squat per se, but with the snatch pull plus snatch, much in the same way that the clean pull plus clean is good. And the reason those are good for me is that it fatigues the pulling part of the motion, so it simulates a heavier weight than I would normally do. Since once you get to maximum weights, even though I pull really well, you pull slower than you do with lighter weights. So it kind of mimics the fact that I'm at a more maximal weight, even though because I've fatigued the pulling aspect of the lift. So it's good for me to do in the clean. It's good for me to do in the snatch. The overhead squat is just for general shoulder strength and stability. So those are always going to be good for the snatch with that. You notice that my shoulders look pretty strong on that, even though my left shoulders are kind of achy. So I was happy with that. Based on, I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous video, but I lowered my maxes to be more reflective of what I was able to hit at the end of the program. So I lowered my clean and jerk to 320, which is like 145, just a tad over it. I think actually might be right on 145, because in pounds I think that's like 319.7 or something. But and then for the snatch, I lowered that to 110 or 242 pounds, and made that more reflective of what I actually hit at the end of that program, not what I've done on one particular day, because I think that was kind of putting me in a increased fatigue state because I have hit 330 or 150, and I have hit 250 or I think 114 it might be, but I have hit those numbers, and I've done it once, and on the day where I did the snatch, I had a miss. I think a couple misses going up to that weight, and with a clean and jerk day, I don't think I had misses, but it was also an operation. So it wasn't like I'm always hitting this weight, or it's a little bit above what I'm always hitting. It was much higher than what I was able to do on different days, and my much more consistent clean and jerk number is closer to 320. I think if I peaked well. And I think when I missed it on that max out day, it was more of a jerk technique than the actual clean technique that I was lacking. And with the snatch, it was the consistency. I really shouldn't be able to hit it the first time. My shoulder was achy, which was really annoying to deal with. But I think even, obviously I did hit the number, it was like 110 or whatever. I should be able to do that even if I have an achy shoulder. So obviously I have to continue to get stronger and better at the technique with that. But lowering those maxes has obviously lowered the work that I do during the week. Next week has gotten heavier because they have done some updates to the app, so I'm able to see the next week of programming within the app, which is really nice. The update they did was really, really, really nice, because I'm able to look back at my stuff like I was before, but I'm able to see what stuff I have and also the percentage of that. Obviously, I could always figure out the percentage, but it was an extra step, and it's nice that they put it on there so you can kind of get a glance at what you're doing during the week, and obviously that would help me plan out what I want to do on the extra 3 days, whether I'm thinking that I could hit some sort of big number, or I'm just trying to hit something around what I hit the previous week. But with that, I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought there, but I have, like I mentioned, I have the front squats and the push presses today. I did a little bit of that on the extra day. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention, on the Saturday, I did some plyometric work. So some ice skater, some side-to-side jumping, some broad jumps, a little bit of jump rope. It kind of messes with my shoulder, not like makes it worse, but it's not, once I do jump rope enough, it does kind of make my shoulder a little achy. So I want to do it more because I like jump roping and I'm pretty good at it, but obviously don't want to aggravate my shoulder doing something that's not really, it's just for the cardio and the plyometric aspect of the jumping. I also did some bodyweight step-ups to focus on the speed of the movement. And like I mentioned, I didn't do the squatting that day, so I did some leg press with single leg and some two leg, just as like a burnout thing, just to get some hypertrophy into my quads and whatnot. But the plyometric work I really like. The I really should do box jumps. If I was writing a program for someone, I would put in box jumps. But I think for me, um, I'm like, because I've banged my shin on a box enough times to where I have that in the back of my head. Mentally, I can't exert myself as much as I would like on a box jump. I think it's a really great exercise, but like mentally, I just think about it too much. And I was like, well, I can exert myself more on a broad jump, and I can just do that. I can jump in other ways vertically because I think the vertical jump is a very good thing if I'm reaching up to touch something. Ironically, the fear of jumping out of a box, I have because of the banging on my shin and falling. And when I was when I was in fifth or sixth grade, I fell off a step stool when I was trying to dunk a basketball and broke my arm. So I think that's always kind of been there. But I've tried to do box jumps and bang my shin, so that's all kind of there. But I also don't really have a problem jumping and trying to touch something like a rim or some part of a wall or whatever with that, with the height of it. So I don't know. I'm a bit of a weirdo in that regard. But the broad jumps, the ice skaters, the step ups, stuff like that, like I can really push myself to try to be explosive in that regard. And I think those are really good. And I like where I have the plyos once a week right now. Maybe something where I add on a different day. But with the amount of volume that I do with the program, I'm not really that concerned with it. I feel like it's a really good balance of things that I have with the program and the stuff that I do on the weekends with that. One of the adjustments I made with some of the programming that they had, it was on Thursday. I did some of those snatch, grip, push presses. Those weren't on the program, but I did those on Thursday, and then did some obviously heavier work on Friday. And the reason for that is that it gives me the most time to recover before Monday. And the idea is to kind of push myself a little bit on Friday and Thursday after my workout if I feel like it, and then have not necessarily a light day on Saturday, but a lower intensity day, I should say. Maybe some volume again on Saturday, and then Sunday just to. Sunday's more optional. Like if I really felt bad today, I wouldn't go in and do anything. It's not like I for sure have to go in and do something, but I do like the challenge of going in to push myself a little bit with not really any volume, but just push myself a little bit with the front squat and the push press if I'm able to, and just move around like that. I feel like that aspect's really helping me, and my joints and stuff aren't really beat up too bad. They were a little bit last week, and I think that's just because I pushed the front squat up a little too high relative to what the other stuff I was doing. I think it's better to be a little bit more conservative, not go up to 95 or 6% for a single, but to stay closer than 90 and try to focus on the speed of it, because I got the strength but not the speed. But now you'll be seeing the last clips that I'll do today, which I haven't gone and done yet. So hopefully you enjoy the front squats and or push presses, and I hope everyone had a great week of training, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. And also be sure to check out my podcast, the Teacher Weightlifter podcast. It's actually monetized on there, so all you have to do is listen to it, and it helps me out with a little bit of money on there. I think I've made like $4.50 on there, which is really cool because YouTube doesn't have that monetization anymore for smaller creators. So go check that out, and I believe that's always in the description, but if you search Teacher Weightlifter on any podcast service, pretty much you'll be able to find it. So check that out, and I'll talk to you all next week. Peace.